You're listening to the Punisher Waterfowls, the Union 0430 podcast. Brought to you by Real Geese Decoys, the most technological advanced silhouette decoys on the market. And Vortex Canada, the force of optics.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Union 0430, episode 103. We have Mr. Real Geese, Craig Mintz, on with us tonight. It's going to be a good show. We haven't had Craig on for a while, so we got lots to talk about. But listen, if you're watching this, if you're listening on the podcast or watching it on YouTube or however, listen, please follow, subscribe, ring the bell, like it, all of that stuff. It really means the world to us. And we're really starting and share. Yeah. We're really starting to see our numbers climb a little bit, and we want to keep this forward momentum going. And we can't thank you guys and girls enough for all of the support you've given us over the last little bit. In fact, I just let Dave know today, the last 30 days, we've had over 1,000 downloads. And this is so from the 6th of June till the 6th of July, over 1,000 downloads of episodes. So this is our first month for hitting that. So thank you so much. And if you're not aware, myself and Jeff Coates just launched a new show on Tuesday, just called the P&P Podcast. We've had a lot of great feedback from you guys so far on that. So please continue to give us feedback. With that, here we are, the Union 0430, episode 103. We got Dave up in Kincardine, Phil down in Port Perry, Ryan, who you can't see right now, but he's down in Nova Scotia. Mark, I don't know where he is. He said he could be here. He may not be. We don't know. But coming to us all the way from the great state of Ohio is Mr. Craig Mintz from Real Geese. Craig, welcome to the show. And I've got to get this out of the way and say it right now. Buddy, we cannot thank you enough. And I don't think we tell you often enough how appreciative Dave and I are of Real Geese and the fact that you jumped on board the show. And we're really starting to see some growth. And that is in large part due to you. So just wanted to make sure I got that out there before we get too far going into the show. Dave?
No, and it's, not a problem at all. Those are the kinds of things that we want to do. We want to help, help shows and help these little guys. We were once a little guy, and we know that it doesn't grow without partners, and it doesn't grow without good people. And, that's what we're about. And with it, like I said, since the very beginning, this show is that it's perfect. There is no changes. I don't want to change. If anybody ever asked me if I had add anything to adjust it or say, hey, why don't we do this? No, it's perfect. It's like I said, it's what, if you get a bunch of guys in a cabin and you had a microphone and you told them it was being recorded, this is what you'd get. You wouldn't, it's not edited. It's not this. Oh, we're going to make sure we talk about this, but we can't talk about this. No, that's not what we have. I like that unedited, raw, fun, and if you get off course, that's the point of having interviews. It's fun because you've learned something about one another normally when you get off course.
Well, to be fair, like sometimes Damien does say, Dave, don't say that.
And then we say it anyways.
We say it anyways. Everybody, I'm not sure if everybody knows this. I would hope that they do. But Craig and his awesome team at Real Geese came together and put out this Punisher pack for us. There it is. Dave's got the box right there. Dave's got the sample. So actually, you know what, Dave? Why don't you do a little talk about it and just talk about what you see from it just by having your hands on. And listen, have some patience with Dave, everybody, because he's he's the one-armed bandit right now. So just bear with him.
It's a good price point way to get into some of these decoys. we got this Shadow series. They're a nice dark decoy. They're going to be a great complement to any spread. And that's what I liked about it is when we started talking about it, it's like, okay, where do we go? Like, what do we do here? And this is just, it's a good, affordable way to get some dark contrast into the back of your spread. And Craig, you kind of came up with the pack, like,
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a no-brainer. It was, we kind of did a blend, and we've had some guys like yourself have said, hey, we really like these poses and these poses. You got to buy both packs. And it just kind of fit perfectly with when, you guys kind of put it all together. We kind of just said, hey, why don't we do this? That way, it's kind of a mesh between all of us putting our heads together, and it didn't make anything. We didn't have to spend a long time, doing this and doing that, making the boxes. Everything was perfect. It fell into place really easily. So it was, kind of a no-brain situation to let's do this. And it's going to be only available at Canadian Waterfowlers with Pat, and on our website. So either one, we have Canada, United States hooked up. So if you're in either one of the places, you can have your access to these, and we can hopefully at that point, I know Pat has already ordered some, and it's should be on a truck or it's already on its way there. So, and I know we just got done packing out about 200 dozen of them. So they'll be on the shelf ready to go, and we should ship same day as long as you get it in before noon, 1 o'clock. Type thing, or normally if it's by then we can normally get it out.
Is there a Punisher sticker in every pack and a Real Geese sticker?
There is a Punisher sticker in every pack. There is a Real Geese sticker in every pack, and there on the next sets of them there will be the Real Geese coasters as well, which I'm sure we can probably worry on these Punisher coasters. We'll have to worry about that.
Buddy, that's so hilarious that you brought up these coasters, because last night Ryan sends us a picture of what you put on social media of the coasters. Yep. And he's like, why haven't we ever thought about coasters? How have we never ever thought about doing coasters?
The two greatest circular logos in the history of the waterfowl industry, and only one of them has a coaster. I don't understand it.
I have a coaster.
Oh, that's a PVC patch. That's not a coaster.
It is, but it's round, and it does the beer can.
It does the job.
But and I stumbled upon it on accident. We've been making this material, or we don't make it. We actually just print on it for a customer, and the customer had a bad sort of run that wouldn't affect anything else but this part of it. And for me, I'm like, man, I really need. I really need to figure out what we can do with the rest of this. And we were doing more stickers, because we do about 5,000 to 10,000 of the Real Geese circle logos a year. And we put multiples in each pack, or we give them away, and just going to shows, things like that. So we were running those, and one of my guys is like, why don't we cut these in a circle and make them a coaster? They're exactly like this. So it's the ball started rolling, and it's going to continue. And over the past 24 hours, we're at probably 2,000 or 3,000 of these things that we've sold. So it's a good thing, and we have plenty of material. So I'm sure there'll be some Punisher stickers and coasters heading up to Canada here soon.
That's crazy. I love it. I did want to circle back a bit, and we'd be a little bit remiss to say that Pat Hendricks didn't get involved in the planning of the Punisher pack as well. He had him and Ryan had a little bit of input in how they wanted to do it, and for the Canadian side, what they think the customers wanted. So between all of us, we came together. I think we put out a fabulous package. I know Rocky Stockdale from River Rat Decoy Rigs, he got his hands on it fairly quickly. I think about a week and a half ago or so, he had his hands, and he done a pretty good review. He put it up on his social media that I thought was really good. So yeah, the word's getting out there, Craig, buddy, and hopefully that 200 dozen you got on your shelf flies off, and you got to print up another 200 dozen to its suite. At least we hope so anyways.
Yeah, and I'm sure they will. I think that with our backing and your guys' backing and the ability to make these decoys in a lower budget part of it, that's the great thing about it is you don't have to spend $300 on or $250 on a dozen of decoys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could have a good 2 dozen deals and that's a lot of decoys for just a small spread, or just like Dave said, you're adding to that back part of it to add that contrast. It's been a huge seller for us off site. You know, a lot of people like these black and whites. And it's been a number one seller over the past 3 years. So, we're selling them consistently. Matter of fact, before I got on the phone and got on here, I sold 150 dozen to just a random guy out in Montana. That happens regularly. That because of the price point, people believe that I can make a huge spread for a lot less money, and I'm able to carry them. I don't need to take a 40-foot tag trailer. I can take my wife's Prius and drive down the road with a bag and throw it in there and let's go hunting.
Now, and one thing I want to talk about is like how thin these things are, but they're still like super, super durable, right? Like, were you saying the last time you were on, there's like 4 times the amount of plastic in one of these than a regular corrugated plastic?
Yeah, so normal 4 millimeter, which is all, that's one thing that, the States is still struggling to grasp a hold of, is the metric system. So the 4 millimeters is what we normally is our standard. But that's a 2 millimeter material. But we've taken the amount of plastic per inch in the 4 millimeter and shoved it in the 2 millimeter. It's not easy to do. It's not something I would recommend somebody going out and try to duplicate, because good luck. But it's something that we were able to develop through some special processes, and it ended up working exactly. So that gives that durability, but it also allows us to go 2 millimeter, which gives you the lightness that you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dave's a big fan right now because it's the only decoy on the market he can put in the ground with one arm.
Have you seen those videos of the guys like throwing them like a nunchuck down in the ground, like a tomahawk throw?
Tomahawk, just pow.
Yeah.
Damn. That's wicked. Okay, buddy.
You know what would be great though?
What?
Is if there was like some camps coming up, or sorry, did I say plural camps? That's weird.
Oh,
but like,
yeah,
like 2 or
if
4.
there was like one of them was like you can't
even talk about that.
Oh man!
No, you can, because you can talk all you want, because this show doesn't come out until Monday. So
this is the weakest segue I've ever experienced in this podcast. for the record.
Again,
but like if we did like a goose camp and we had a whole bunch of real geese at it, that'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? Huh.
Yeah. Well,
something to think about.
For those that follow Real Geese on the Webernet, there's some new Vivid decoys that were just posted. So this show gets aired Monday. So like the other day, so last Thursday, which is actually technically today, to Jedi mindfuck people. But yeah, Craig, you need to order up some of them Vivids.
Well, you don't. No, you don't have to order up Vivids, Phil. You need to order up Punisher packs.
How about I get Punisher Vivids?
Oh,
Vividly Punisher. Well, and Craig, that's something I wanted to know, is like, we kind of got a few sneak peeks of this Vivid stuff. And I understand like the different materials, right? And the different printing processes. But when you make different poses, how does that process go? Like,
it's a nightmare, to be honest with you.
It looks like it, because I'm thinking like, it's not like you can just take a picture of one of these birds and just be like, okay, we'll make it a 2-dimensional and print it, right? Like, you put a lot of work into making just one pose.
Are you bringing up the point of when we first started talking about the Punisher pack, and I was saying to Craig, I was like, I'm going to go snap some pictures of poses and I'll send them to you. And then Craig was like, well, it's not that easy. And I get what I see what you're doing, Dave. I wasn't
even going to bring that up at all. I just found like, as soon as Craig sent us that picture of him designing a new pose, and I thought, man, that's a lot of work. And yeah, that's why I was kind of asking. how that
Yeah,
worked?
it's a lot of work. You know, I work with a lot of really good photographers, work with a lot of people that are really good with cameras. And so my resources are going out and trying to locate. I know I took this next Vivid. There's 6 poses, all unique to the Real Geese family. And I went through over 225 photos to get 6. And that's trying to get them all from the same angle at the same light, you know, on the same day. So at one point I had 5 of them and I had 4 of them. And then I'm like, great. Well, then I couldn't find this one. And I'm like, man, so then I was going through another one and then it was another day. And then, you know, you're trying to get this one and you're trying to get a Century, you're trying to get a feeder. And it's just, there's a lot of that. Once we settle on about 12 to 8 different birds, it goes into the photoshopping where we really just remove the background. Remove the background, print them. And then once the background's removed and we like them, now we have to color correct them, you know? So, you know, if they got, you know, the belly that turns green, or gets the off color white, what you really want to do is just Photoshop all that white, try to get that cheek white, try to get those, you know, those colors vivid, and get the colors the way they're supposed to be. Because your photo on your camera, your photo on some lens, on a day, some of the imaging starts turning pink. It starts turning some colors that you don't want in a decoy. So now you got to get rid of those.
Mm-hmm.
Once you do that, then you're starting to look at, okay, now I got to size them, you know, because every photo is taken from a different distance, which then creates a different size bird, which then you got to blow it up differently. So then it turns into this, you know, I can tell you this Vivid, we started working on it in March, and I'm just now where I'm at. Now, mind you, it's not consistent work on it, you know, the whole time and doing all those, but, you know, it is a lot of work every day of being able to print, checking the color, changing the colors, you know, and going and removing stuff, you know, and just as simple as the neck, you know, you take the pictures of some of the geese, you get some of that sheen, you see the feathering glare on their neck because of the black. And you don't want that. So you got to delete that. So, but then it just becomes a bigger challenge than what many people think it is. People think you just go out with an iPhone, take a picture of a goose in a park. And there are some companies out there that do that, but that reflects on some of the product that they have. And I think that we've taken that to another level, being able to do that. We've actually upgraded some machinery, being able to print some different colors. Our gamut has grown. At our one point, we were only at a 6 color. So you were at basically blue, yellow, black, and magenta to mix any of the colors. Now we have those plus the light colors of all of those. So now we have light cyan, blue. We have light magenta, light yellow, and black and light black. So you get a better gamut and you get a better looking decoy than what we could produce previously. And now we're at a point where I believe that, and we've been asked for it for many years, I think it's time for us to really put out a digital decoy that competes on the economic stage.
Mm-hmm.
Craig, with all the different poses for all your decoys, you guys have like a standard to what type of poses you want more of or less of in your packs? Or is it something like you guys give a lot of thought to yet? Or
yeah, we do, but we don't, because a lot of it depends on how we can. I mean, if you have a bunch of them that are alerts, you know, that's why we made the, you know, the upright pack, you know, that, you know, kind of having that if you wanted to mix those in, you can do that, but it also depends on the materials. So we're only, you know, really getting a certain size material. And you got to sort of nest these. So if you can think of all the birds kind of mixed in, and I can, you know, try to, you know, we got this bird, you know, sitting there like this on the sheet. And then we have this bird, you know, kind of like this in the sheet. So you try to fit as many birds as you can within one sheet. And when you do that, what that creates is a cheaper bird for everybody because you're using less material, which is our integrated, our basically our wire provides us to do that. We don't have to go through the flutes. So all of our birds don't need to run vertical. So we can run our flutes any direction. Now you go to the mag lights, you go to the Pro 2s, it doesn't matter the direction because it's a solid sheet. But you also, longer those necks become on those, it becomes a little bit more of a problem when we start cutting those out, because we're afraid of when you impact those, you're talking tonnage of pressure to be able to cut that. And so if there's a sharp neck or a sharp beak or a sharp something, it's sometimes a problem. So you kind of got to balance it of, okay, well, we have a nice alert. Oh, we have, a feeder in this one that's a long neck. But we also know that there's a lot of people that will buy a Pro 2. They'll buy a mag light, and they'll buy a shadow. So now you have all over the board. So we try to understand that many people will buy all different options. So we don't want, 6 this and this one, 6 of this one and this one, 6 of this and this one. It might be 2 feeders, 2 alerts, sentries, however it may be in one pack. And then the next one might completely different. So there's a lot that goes to it, but a lot of it is dictated by the material and how we want it to package. As well, how it goes in boxes, because long necks are a pain in the butt to package.
He's mid conversation there, Dave.
Sorry, I got my little ones running around outside.
Yeah, that's all good, buddy.
That's what it's all about, right? And the little ones are getting into the racing. They're loving that racing, aren't they?
Yeah, they're starting to.
What were you going to say, Dave?
I kind of forget.
Okay.
So a little bit of head injury.
Yeah. So I did want to bring that up, the number 9 car. And I did want to talk about a little bit about, I wish I could watch it, but it's all on pay-per-view, Craig?
Yeah. What I need to do is I can get you my account some night and you guys can see it.
Yeah.
And that way you can watch one night of it and not have to pay a ton of money for it. It's all pay-per-view. We pay for it because it's huge around my area. It's a big thing around us.
Yeah.
It's like I think it's $129 for the entire year, but you get to watch 50 races, 100 races.
Right.
So, and we're racing every weekend. We're live on that pay-per-view type thing. It's a really cool deal. It's made a huge deal. Started with COVID. We started racing when we couldn't have fans. So they said, oh, well, we can live stream this. This is easy. Well, then it turned into this, oh, now we can make a bunch of money at this.
Of course.
And it turned into kind of a pain for a lot of people because it's taken our attendance down. But it's helped me with sponsors on my end because now my reach is a lot farther.
Of course.
And so there's a catch-22, double-edged sword, how you want to look at it. But if you're a race fan, you want to get at me and you want to watch it, just shoot me a message. I can give you my account because I don't use it on race days because they do a deal like your Netflix deal that you can't. If I'm logged into it here, you can't be somewhere else and logged into it. I know also there's a lot of the guys, they'll give out a promo code for like one race type deals where you can kind of sample it, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I tell you, when we put the Punisher logo on the front, we had a lot of questions of what was that? What is that? Because of, a lot of our all of our sponsors that are on our car are 90% waterfowl, with Real Geese and the Shadows and a few other ones, and we added that one and there was a couple of them standing at the front of the trailer and they seen that and there they are on their phones, on the podcast on their phones, so it was kind of cool to be able to see that. And you came back to me and said, yeah, we listened to this show. And I'm like, yeah, I remember that one. So it's cool. It's a good time. My family goes, we enjoy it. It's been something we've done for 22 years now.
Oh, wow. I know Dave and I were talking to you about a month ago and you had just finished up a race and you said, I think you came in I'm going to say you came in 6th or 7th, but you said I raced against the best in the world and you were stoked about that finish. It's got to be a pretty cool feeling. When you say you're racing against the best in the world and you're competing, because if you're finishing 6th and 7th, you're right there.
When I mean by the best in the world, it is the best in the world. The great thing about it is the guys that like myself, we don't do it for a living. I just do it like everybody else with hunting. You do it because you enjoy it, not because you're doing it to make money.
Right.
You know, but with me, you know, I'm somewhat semi-retired. I enjoy my kids. I enjoy the real geese part of it, enjoy working, and stuff of that nature. So I don't get to do it a lot. And those guys, when they fill out their tax stuff at the end of the season, it's professional race car driver, and it's professional. I'm going to work on your race car driver. Like, so these guys, you know, they get 2 or 3, you know, they get monthly paycheck or weekly paychecks. They get percentage of what they win. You know, they run 100 times a year. And for me, you know, it'd be like trying to go and have somebody semi part-time come in and try to print. You know, it's just not, it's very difficult. You can do it. So when we get those guys coming around to our area to race, and we compete with them at their level, it's huge because one, the money's really good. But, you know, to say that, hey, I can compete with the best in the world and I'm a somewhat part-time, you know, says a lot about our team, a lot about the guys I have around me. And we enjoy it. So.
Love it.
Robin's racing. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Hey, you're not first or last.
Yeah.
First or last.
How many fucking Ricky Bobby quotes are thrown around the racetrack on a daily basis? It must get old at some point.
Well, the Ricky Bobby one isn't as much. It's the Days of Thunder bullshit that we do it. Yeah, that movie gets thrown around all the time because in that movie they actually talk about Tom Cruise actually says something about a series in that movie that still exists that I race with consistently. It's actually owned by Tony Stewart, who I've you know, I talked to all the time.
NASCAR guy, right?
Yeah, and he's a huge hunter, loves hunting. You know, and it's but he owns that, but you know, so that movie gets referenced a lot and it does get old. But you just kind of, everybody just gets used to it.
And when I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.
It's been a long time since I've seen Days of Thunder, man. I don't remember. Yeah, it is, but I don't remember. Cole, right? Was
Cole
his name?
Trickle.
Trickle. The mellow yellow car.
Fuck, look at you guys go.
Man, I'm on I saw the new Top Gun, so I'm on a Tom Cruise revisited tour now. So I haven't
seen it. Do you recommend? The new
yes,
highly recommend.
I want to be a pilot.
One of my favorite sequels of any series by far.
Really,
I will say it is in my top 5 movies ever.
Yeah,
really,
yes,
really well done.
Oh, I gotta go see it now.
I might actually have to leave the house.
There's a scene where Tom Cruise brings the girl back to the house to drop her off after a date kind of thing. And the girl walks into the house and leaves the door open, you know, as an invitation to Tom Cruise himself. And there was a little kid in the crowd and he goes, "Why would she leave the door open?" Oh, it was
just disgusted.
Yeah, it was almost like, oh my God, bugs are gonna get in, you know, it was awesome.
Yeah, something's born on a fucking rack, buds, or what?
Yeah, something's getting in. And his name's Tom.
Yeah, and it ain't a bug.
Tom, Dick, and Hip. Yeah.
Oh shit!
It was. It's a good movie. You got to go watch it.
Yeah, I do. I got to make some time for it. Bags, new bags this year, correct?
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, we got all these decoys we can put over here.
First world problems, Craig.
So this will be kind of a hard little sell here, but I do have one of the early prototypes of it.
That's a nice color.
I like that.
Hey, does that one say Dave on it?
It does say Dave on it, right on the underside, right here.
Yeah. See, good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we changed the color of it up a little bit. You know, changed a few things that we really liked. Made it bigger. It's 2 inches bigger in every direction. You know, it has these metal clips, so none of that plastic stuff. I didn't like that.
Plastic sucks more.
Here, nice little rubber handle to grip a hold up, hold it on the sides. Everything is double stitched. I wasn't a part of having, everything is cross-stitched, double-stitched, all on down the sides. It stands up on its own, so I can actually turn this down like this, and it does stand up on its own.
Nice.
The other thing that I really like that spent a long time looking for is these clips. If you watch, goes on its own.
Oh,
That was good. That was so good.
It's magnet, so it'll roll right through it. You just
Can we get a
clip it
slow
in.
motion on that?
Yeah, make sure you do that on the clips. But
Yeah.
but as you look at it, I mean, I'm pulling as hard as I can. You can't pull it apart, but as soon as you need it apart, just click it.
Oh my God.
That's
you know what? All I could think of when Craig was saying I'm pulling as hard as I can is remember on Napoleon Dynamite when the uncle was selling the Tupperware and he goes to that couple's house and he says it's virtually indestructible and the missus gives it to her husband and he's trying to tear it and he just a look of disgust on his face and he's just like, I can't tear
That's a good movie, by the way, too.
How many decoys does that hold,
You
Craig?
can fit easily 6 dozen. And you can see when you throw ours in, the wires just stick up just above it. And then we've padded this part of it as well. So as you put it down on it, everything closes in, the way it's supposed to. And it should make it easier to carry, and go there. Now I've put, a lot of weight in these things. I've actually took 5 dozen of the Maglite Pro 2s, which are a lot heavier. They create more of an issue when you're putting them in a bag of like this. Actually hung them from the forks of a forklift and drove them around all day at work, bouncing it up and down, making sure that the stitching happens. And these bags are 100% made United States. Took me a long time to find it. I don't have to import them. They sit on the port for months on end. I have them readily available going to it. I won't release them as of yet. I need to make a few minor things that I don't like. We're going to add a little bit more padding on the lid. That way, when it does close, the stakes themselves will actually go into foam or something soft.
Yeah.
We're still working on that because that becomes a problem when you start stacking a bunch of these and you get a taller decoy. That small stake will start piercing, and we don't want that. So we're trying to make it work with a little bit of a foam, but the foams that we're finding are not right, and the foams that we want are very difficult to get. The automotive industry is destroying the foam industry because they're taking it all. So trying to get it is very difficult. So I'm still working on it, but I mean, I have 25 of them already made and 25 of them have hit the field. So they will be tested. They were actually tested at the end of last year. So we've heard nothing but good things on it. Having the magnet clips is something that I really wanted. That was when I went down to the place. It's actually, I just found a place about 2 or 3 hours south of me. When I walked in there, I said, this is a non-negotiable. I need these clips. And they had access to them, and it was perfect. So,
Awesome.
We picked the color out. They double stitched a sample while I was there. They made it. And it's really, it takes you back because it's in about a late 1900s building, wooden floor, all these sewing machines. And it's really cool. But it's very modernized. All the sewing machines. And I'm like, man, these aren't just your ones that you sit at you see at your grandma's house and you're pumping it with your feet and it's going up and down. And these things are digitized and it's crazy. So it's really cool to be able to know that we're going to produce this bag. We're still going to have the other bag as an option for an economy version. This one will cost more. It will be that $100 mark, $105 mark. But I think it's going to be what we label as our Pro Series bag. Now, it's the best of the best. You can't buy a better bag.
So now you mentioned the fact that it's American made and stuff. And this is something that I believe, and I think the boys will all agree with me here because we've talked about it before. So when it's all American made, anything coming into Canada, there's no duty that goes on to that, right? Because of, well, I'll call it NAFTA, but it's not called NAFTA anymore. Whatever Trump and Trudeau and the Mexican fucking president came up with. I don't know what it's called. But so what I'm getting at is the fact that this is another product that's made in America. You know, you're not paying for duties because it's created overseas or anything like this. And I've said it on this show before, nylon in North America is completely different than nylon that's made overseas. So you're getting a much more superior bag when you're getting it made right here. I'll say North America, but in the USA, right? You're getting a better material, better made.
And that's the nice thing is we, you know, there's so many hoops you have to jump through to be able to be labeled as 100% made in America. Anybody can put it on any of their products, but when it starts going overseas or going not overseas, when it starts going north and going south, then Canada's starting to, okay, so where's your certificates? Where's this? Where's that? And then you got to provide that. And that's very expensive. And I spend a lot of money on lawyer fees and a lot of that to be able to make sure that that's done. But we hang our hat on that. It's something that I'm very proud of. I'm a proud American that will do everything I can to make everything here. I want my jobs. I want my product. I want everything made here. I don't want to send it overseas. I don't want to get my materials from this place. I just don't want to. I don't believe in it. We have the best way of making a lot of things, and we just have to get back to where we started
100%,
probably 5-6 decades ago. And get back to square one. But we, you know, the administration that we got now and things of that nature, it's going to take us a long time. But I am proud to say that, you know, if you look at our prices compared to 2021, there's not much change. And it's something that Real Geese is doing because of, we don't want to pass the buck, because we understand that the budgets are tight. We understand that, you know, a lot of husbands are going to be like going to their wives, hey, I need to go spend another $90 on some decoys. And, you know, sometimes it's not there, you know, so what we want to do is be able to provide that and not raise the rates as much as we can. And we can only absorb that for so long, but we are currently still doing that. And it's still something that we take pride on by trying to find a better way of going on it without cutting costs. We don't want to cut corners to where, okay, now we're going to put less plastic into the material. That's not how you do it. You find a better resource of boxes. I mean, boxes right now in the United States is a nightmare. The paper product to get boxes, you can't get it.
Remember, Dave, when we were talking about the Punisher pack? And I was like, and I'm so horny to get this thing out the door, right? And make the announcement. And we're talking to Craig. And Craig's like, well, we need to source cardboard. And I'm like, are you kidding me? There's a shortage on cardboard. And there was a fucking shortage on cardboard. Like, could you fucking imagine?
It's stupid to realize the stuff that has become of a shortage. And it's paper products, it's glue. It's just stuff that you wouldn't imagine is limited, and you can't get it. Like foam. Who'd have thought foam was shortage? And you know, there's a company that's just down the road from me, about an hour. They make the foam that goes in the Chevy Corvettes in the seats.
Okay.
They can't make them. They don't have the foam. So these seats are just sitting there, and they can't put them in the Corvettes. So people are waiting 2 years to get a Corvette. And then with this green deal, these electric trucks that are coming out, they're stealing this foam to go in the electric trucks because they're being told that these are more important over the, you know. And what's sad is the $119,000 electric truck costs more than $100,000 sports car.
In fairness, Craig, how many silhouettes can you jam in a Corvette?
Not very many.
Who gives a shit?
Hey, I bet you could jam a lot of fucking Real Geese silhouettes in there.
You could jam a lot in there, but I'd be pissed that you're jamming up stuff in a $100,000 sports car.
In fairness,
challenge accepted.
Can't see I've ever seen one of those humping across a cut cornfield to lay out some.
I've got a picture of my buddy that was the reason that I started when him and I got back into Petawawa and I started Punisher Waterfowl. He had a 78 Stingray, and he was part of all these Corvette fucking groups. Cal Schrader, you met Cal, Ryan.
Yeah, I know Cal. Yeah.
Yeah. So Cal Schrader, and we come back from a goose hunt, and he just went to the garage and he put the geese on that. The old Corvettes had the luggage rack on the back. So he lined all the geese and he was like, "You should have seen the looks I got coming out of the field today." And he posted it on all these Corvette fucking forums. Oh, they went fucking ballistic. So it was all these Southern California. It was nuts, man. It was nuts, and it was hilarious. And if you had to know Cal Schrader to know that he's a shit disturber.
He's the original troll. He is the original troll.
Anyways, tangent.
Why am I thinking of Craig like going down to this Corvette foam factory saying, "Hey, I'm Craig Mintz. I'm looking for some foam for our bags for the decoys. What do you got?" And, like just using the Corvette foam seat foam. Like, oh, those bags.
That shit.
That shit would be awesome.
Yeah, and it's crazy to realize some of the stuff that we're doing, like those magnetic hooks. I found those from a company that they're basically a mountain climbing company. So they make mountain climbing gear, and that's what it was on their bags to secure it, because if you're climbing up, you don't want to reach back and try to do this stupid ass, clip. Yeah. They wanted a way that you can instantly turn it in, and they made it. And I called them. I said, "Well, I need about 2,000 of those things." And they're like, "All right, no problem." So I bought them off of them and got them sent to me. We made some other magnetic bag, the other bags we have a different magnetic deal to them. And of course I outsourced those to a different country, and I didn't like that. So, when we got down to it, I made sure that everything that with that bag, when I walked into that bag manufacturer, I said, "I want everything made here. I don't care if it's made in Hawaii, but it needs to be made here."
Yeah. No, and I love it. And I think without, and I don't want to sound like a fucking asshole here, but I think our generation and the generation before us, I think they appreciate the fact that it's being made in the States. Something that you can, is not going to fail you. And I don't mean that as though every product out there that's made overseas is going to fail. And that's not what I'm getting at. But there is something to be said about being made in the US, being made in North America. There's something to be said about it. And I personally much rather pay and get something that's made right here, because I don't know. It makes me feel better. It warms the cockles of my heart.
Me too. Quality.
And I think that a lot of times that we're winning, that next generation that's coming up, that is, and it's no disrespect to anybody that is in that age group, but they're what I call is almost the throwaway replaceable generation.
Yeah.
100%.
They are at the point, and it's no different than these electric cars. That's the thing. When they're done, you throw them away. You don't replace them, because the replacement's value is more than what the car, and it's a throwaway generation. They don't
like the Dodge Caravan.
Yeah. And in lack of better terms, I mean, how many of those, the younger generation could fix this stuff? How many of them can run an old lathe? How many of them can run a surface grinder, or anything to fix these kind of things on those things? And most of them are, I'll just jump on Amazon and buy new ones. And, but what we've done is we've put the USA label made in America there. But what we've done and worked so hard for, that I'm proud of, is being able to have a price point on our economy versions that is right next to the imported ones. Mm-hmm. So now if they're sitting there and they realize, man, I could buy a United States product for almost the same price, and we're talking only a couple bucks, or I can get these, I at some point, I think we're winning them back and we're winning them over. It's just not at the mass quantities that we would hoped. I still get the questions, and I'll get a lot of guys come in and they'll be like, "Well, you're copying so-and-so." Well, no, not really, but you're not old enough to realize that we came out with that 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Before you were born.
Yeah. I mean, I had a conversation with a gentleman. He called me and he was wanting to buy our Shadow series. And he spoke about our wires, And I had great conversation, great kid. And he's like, well, you know, when they came out with these wires, you know, you guys came out with your shadows and copied them. Excuse me. And I'm like, no, I said, well, back in 1987, 88, roughly into the early 90s, we had an ultralight of our Econo versions, which was a corrugated white snow decoy that we printed a pink patch on, and we printed a, you know, some black for feathers, and we got that. And he's like, no way. And I'm like, just Google it, go look at when the first ones we made. And they were like, he was in shell shock because this was a decade before he was born.
Wow.
I think with the cost of energy and fuel across the globe right now, like, I think people are looking to count their pennies to make sure they get stretched out as far as they go. And I think a product that is built in North America is going to stand the test of time with more quality. And I think that's advantageous to you and your company at this kind of juncture where we're at right now.
Well, and you're also going to get the backing of someone local that you can talk to about it, right? Like,
well,
if I have a problem,
that's got to be, Craig, sorry, Dave, to cut you off, but that's got to be a huge comfort for you that when you got an issue now, you can drive down the road and talk to someone face to face, as opposed to being, you know, 12 hours in difference in time zone to talk to Harry, because every time that I spoke to somebody overseas, everybody had Harry, Rob, Jake, John, and Michael as their name. But
and you know, the name was that long.
Yeah, like 18 consonants and only one vowel in there. So
yeah, and a house and all kinds of labels in it and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, yeah, that's the great thing. Like I love about Real Geese is when you call us, you're either going to speak to Brandy or going to speak to me. Tina as well now. One of us three should be able to take care of you. And we are at the position that I love, because with 100% importation, you know, we do everything in, you know, obviously in the States, but if you look at every Real Geese decoy, there's a date manufacturing code on it. That date manufacturing code, if you call us and say, hey, you know, I have the ink falling off of this one. Okay, give me the date manufacturing code. I look it up. One, I replace it 100% free, no shipping, none of that BS stuff, none of that stuff. But the other thing I can do is I can go back. Yep, right there.
There it is.
It actually says that was produced 11 of 21, I'm guessing.
Yep.
And so it was produced in November of 2021. But I go back to that run. I can know what printer ran it, what ink batch was used, what material batch it was used, how it was die cut, and we also know exactly who packaged it. So if you get a dozen birds and you only get 11 of them, but you don't, and you got 12 steaks, or you're forgetting a bird, or vice versa, I can go back to that exact order and tell you who packaged it out, and then I go to them and say, you missed one. You know, obviously it's not a fireable offense, but we're like, you can't do that anymore.
That's a pattern.
But we have
here's the best part. I ordered those shit ton of shadows a 2 years ago, and I got an extra steak. So that was like a bonus.
Yep.
Yeah, don't report that.
That's not a pattern.
I kept my mouth shut so no one will get fired.
Yeah, no. But so we have some goofy stuff like that happen. And then, you know, we also try to put a pose number on each one of them, because a lot of guys will be like, well, I'm missing a pose. Well, tell me what pose. It's 1 through 6. If you're missing 5, I'll send you 5.
Yeah.
You know, and most of the time we try to do, okay, it's going to cost us the money to unpackage it, to find a 5, to send it up there. We just send you a dozen anyway. You know, because of one, it was a pain in the ass. You opened it up, you didn't get what you paid for. We understand that. But like, if you have a problem like Dave with that 1121, I can go back to the manufacturer of the ink and find out if there was a problem. They can reference their things of, you know what, we didn't put enough silicone in it, or we didn't put enough this, it's a problem. So I can always narrow down what it is. And it traces back to when we do our Pro 2 runs, which I should have some videos up on our Real Geese Decoys webpage, and not too long from now. We're going to do about 500 to 1,000 dozen run of Pro 2. But we run it in-house in our laminator, how we take the material and take the cloth and glue it to the sheet. Well, nobody's ever seen that, but I would like people to see it. But that day we write down exactly who was the operator, what batch number of glue it was, what batch number of material it was, what batch number of the cloth it was, because if we find out which one failed, we can call that company and say, what happened? Why did this fail? How do we fix it? And how do we not let it happen in the beginning? And most of the time they're under warranty because they're United States product. They want to stand by their product and say, hey, we'll send you a roll of material to replace that one. Let's fix it. Go to the next one. And then we save money that way, which then allows us to go back to the consumer. Where if you do that overseas, when you're trying to, talk to Robert over in China or wherever, you're not going to get that.
No, absolutely
like
not.
you're almost at the point, Craig, where it's like, it's almost each decoy has a serial number.
Correct.
Like you're almost at that point. So like it's amazing that you can go back and like legit track like that decoy was printed on this date at this time with this machine by this person, and the batches of materials used for that particular decoy came from this company, from this lot and so forth. And it's amazing that you've put that much time and effort into the backtracking of all your materials and manufacturing and stuff to like produce that superior product.
And we have to, because we actually had one, and I can share the story now, but one of our first couple batches of shadow materials, the clear that we put on is a special clear. You cannot get it. It is a specially blended clear coat that we basically own the patent on to be able to get the dullness on the materials that we do provide. When we first made it, we ran a trial run of it and didn't have a problem. Well, we didn't try that near water. Some water has different calciums in it. That calcium did not like this so-and-so clear coat. What that did is it turned it cloudy, and it actually made the decoys all white. And we were into a problem to where we were getting people calling us, and they would get done hunting and package the decoys up. No big deal. It would rain, and they would put them in a bag, and they'd go get them the next time, and they were all white. And so I'd have them send me some back. I would send them some. They said, oh, these are much better. Never a problem. And I dissected it, took the ink samples off, sent them into labs, trying to figure it out. And we narrowed it down to when they were rained on or where they were used near a river part that had a lot of high calcium or high acidic in the rain, it created problems. So we had to change a formula based off of that. And it starts turning into technical terms where you start, I have a friend of mine who now works sort of for us that's a chemist. That is able to blend stuff the way I need it to be blended to be able to get what I need, the dullness, but we need it to adhere, so it creates, there's a lot of, once you get into the decoy manufacturing business, it's a giant black hole of never ending things that you have to think of that you don't think of.
At the end of the day, I think if you just keep an eye on the flux capacitor,
I try every day.
Yeah.
Have you seen that
the Cadillac converter?
Somebody stole that a month ago.
Have you seen that ultimate black paint? Have you ever seen that stuff?
So man, I actually own an ounce of that.
I knew it.
Yes.
I knew it.
Because I thought that was I'm like, you know what? That might work. And then I started thinking about it that nobody's going to spend that amount of money. No. But I have a really good friend that is pretty high up at a paint manufacturer that was able to secure me a little bit of that. I'll never let it go because it's really cool. But I have no
idea what you guys are talking about.
I'm currently Googling this.
When you're done, Google the darkest black paint.
Well, so there's two different versions now, right?
Yes.
There's the 2.0 and the 3.0.
Okay.
Right. And what it is, it's actually pure black. But when there's a guy that painted, it was either his motorbike or his car in this paint.
Car.
It was his car. And you look at a picture of it and you're like, that is not real. That's Photoshopped. But it's legit. It looks that black. Like it looks like.
It's crazy to realize you could sustain a black of that. But the cost of that one ounce that I have is astronomical.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah. See, it looks fake.
Wow.
It's black.
That's
paint.
That's painted.
That is next level block.
Yeah, and it's the
That
next
appears
level
to be
black.
it appears
It's
to be a
crazy to
Lancer.
realize. Now
That was the original Shadow series.
Yeah, okay.
Fully flawed.
Yeah.
With paint.
Only
Because
$2,000 for a dozen. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
just for the paint.
Hey, $2,000 for dozens in line with what I think in Canada we're going to be paying for a dozen of full bodies this year. So,
Well, if the United States dollar keeps crashing, you're gonna,
buddy. So even more reason to get into the silhouette game, ladies and gentlemen. More bag for your buck.
And that's something that I have seen, over the past 4 or 5 years, that swing.
Yeah,
it was a swing earlier. We went from silhouettes to full bodies. Full bodies were the coolest things. You got to have full bodies.
Yeah.
And then now we're back the opposite way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like this roller coaster of, of rides. And for me, it doesn't make sense because I get the advantages of a silhouette because obviously I'm in it, but, I own DSDs. I mean, I own them. I mean, I use them, so I'm not saying that they're the greatest things in the world, but I get people calling me and they're like, yeah, we don't own a silhouette, but we want to buy 100 dozen. What? Like,
okay, take my money.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. But it's just the amount of people that have called me that I've talked to on the phone that have never owned a silhouette ever. And now they're buying.
Well, Craig, if you remember back to when we had Sean Stahl on this show ages ago, and Sean, I'll use the word, Sean reintroduced the panel blind to tangle free, which was how everybody was hunting. 20 years ago, everybody was hunting behind a panel blind, and then someone created the coffin blind and the layout blind, and then everyone was like, "Oh, this is the tits. We got to do this." Now everybody's gone back to the panel blind again, and I just seen Rig'em Right just announced, and they didn't actually. They didn't even change the name. They were like, "It's a panel blind." Like they didn't there is absolutely nothing different from what Tangle Free has done. And I'm not slagging any business.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? But because everything's come back full circle. And I remember Sean Stahl talking about it. He was like, man, we were hunting out of panel blinds when I was 17, 18 years old. And then we switched to the coffin blinds, and now we're back to panel blinds, and it's only a matter of time, and we'll be back to coffin blinds again, unless somebody figures out how we can hover up 30 feet and shoot birds out of the air. But
everything has its time and place by any means, and I'm a huge fan of the silhouettes, and as everyone knows, I've got a whole pile of Craig's silhouettes.
Everybody knows this.
Yeah, well, our millions of listeners. But in my opinion now, like the only real place that, where full bodies have the huge advantage over silhouettes is on an ice shelf. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, that's the only advantage. But even then, if I'm hunting any sort of like open water / ice shelf, I've got 2 dozen sleeper shells. Those are going on the ice.
I'm going to tell you, I had a conversation. Sorry, Philly, keep going, buddy. I
got a handful of Goose floaters and 2 dozen sleeper shells. Those are going to go on said ice shelf, and that's going to be the end of my spread. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, anything where I'm hunting the ground is I got like 16 dozen silhouettes or whatever. It's a whole shit ton from Craig, and that's what I run, and they are amazing. And if there's no jigsaw puzzle of trying to jam all this shit into the back of my truck, like when I had full bodies years ago, it's 3 bags full of decoys. I rifle them in, and then that's it. Away I go.
Dave, when you're doing your kayak hunting, and I'm only asking because I've never actually seen a picture of you do this, but if you're hunting geese on, like, have you taken the real geese silhouettes on the kayak? And the reason why I'm asking is because I had a conversation with a fellow that hunts out of the Midwest the other day, and he said he hunts mainly full bodies except if he's on water. And if he's on water hunting, he will 100% have silhouettes in the shoreline. And he says that the geese absolutely love silhouettes on the shoreline when he's hunting water.
My head hurts listening to that.
Yeah, that's what he told me. He
and
said,
if it works,
yeah. He said if he's got a shoreline, a beach or something somewhere where he can set up and he can put silhouettes, on the beach or on the sand close to the water. He said it is ridiculous how quick those geese will eat that up. Ridiculous.
They'll, at the very least, I found, if you have just a small spread in there, like where I kind of mainly hunt with my kayaks, there's just a small sandbar, and if you put even half a dozen in there, the geese may not land, but they'll definitely give you a look and see what's going on. And when they give you a look, they're close enough that you can shoot them. But then you gotta put them in the kayak and haul them back, and then you gotta eat them. So
these are first world problems.
Yeah, so I just shoot ducks.
Well, you could just do what Mark and Ryan used to do, is just fucking grind every one of them up and just wait until the end of the season and just make a copious amount of sausage.
Yeah, one part pork and a little bit of bacon goes a long way.
sounds really good.
It is pretty good. It's pretty awesome, boys. We're at an hour. And I know we could keep going because I wanted to touch in on the Cleveland Browns trading away Baker Mayfield. I wanted to touch on the Montreal Canadiens not picking Taylor Wright as the first overall. They picked that Finn.
Yeah, not duck related. No one cares.
That's perfect. We don't need another center. It's good.
Well, and I think he's the better player too. But the problem is that Shane Wright dropped down to number 4 and got picked up by Seattle. So, anyways, hockey. Canada.
Go Colorado.
Another episode. Bandwagoner.
I don't know. Philly's always been a Colorado guy.
Since the Nords, bro. Since the Nords.
Okay, never mind. Take it back.
Yeah,
as you were.
But now, meanwhile, he can't tell you a fucking player on the team, but.
Actually, you know what? Stand by
Joe
one
Sakic,
second.
Great player.
Oh,
stand
by. Ray Bork. I was there when Ray Bork lifted the cup.
Yeah, Sanders Lynch. Great guy.
I remember when he made the All-Star team one year, and I was like, I have no idea who this guy is, because he was playing in San Jose at the time, and I was like, I have no idea who this dude is.
Oh, you got an Adam Foote.
I was just about to bring up the Adam Foote, and one of my buddies growing up was convinced that the big foot that was on the shoulders of the jerseys was because of Adam Foote.
Adam's dad and my dad used to work together.
Really?
Oh, cool.
I've known Adam before he got drafted by the Nords. His dad and his dad used to come to my house all the time.
Adam Foote got drafted by the Nordiques.
Yeah.
So he was drafted before they flopped over to Colorado.
Used to play. Adam used to play for the Sioux Greyhounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he got picked up in the 88-89 draft for the Nords.
Okay, cool. I didn't know Adam. I didn't know he got picked. I didn't know he was drafted. So he pretty much spent his entire career with that organization.
With the exception of the couple years at Columbus,
Does he duck hunt?
No, sorry, boys. No. That's
then
a tangent. Anyways, I digress.
I do have one.
Okay.
I gotta say my one hockey story is obviously I'm a Detroit Red Wings fan.
Yeah.
Gordie Howe.
Yeah.
His son is a doctor that's around here.
Okay.
So it's kind of like I mean, if you're a Red Wings fan and you don't know who Gordie Howe is, you should probably not be a Red Wings fan.
100%.
Be a hockey fan.
Yeah, you're not a hockey fan, but it's pretty cool because every now and then, like my wife works at the hospital and they'll come across him, and it's kind of like the one day I had that story. She goes, because I would take her up to the Joe, and I actually got to take her up to Little Caesars, and she's like, "Man, I had this guy come in the other day as a doctor. His last name was Howe. Said his dad played hockey," and I was like,
"Pardon?"
And I'm like, yeah, we gotta go the opposite direction. So every now and then we get those, but that's kind of my one hockey story. I'm more of a football guy.
Yeah.
That's kind of the American thing. But I live so close to, hockey town. I live right next to Columbus. So I'm between two of them, of two decent hockey teams back in their prime. Obviously Columbus is new. So,
this is going to be my last hockey thing that I got to talk about. So I read this the other day. So Mike Ilitch, who passed away a couple years ago, the owner of the Detroit Red Wings. So I read this the other day. So Rosa Parks, I don't know how Rosa Parks, how they decided that they were going to kick her out of the house that she was living in Detroit or wherever the fuck it was. I don't know the whole backstory, but anyways, Mike Ilitch found out that Rosa Parks was fucking homeless, and that dude for like 30 years paid her rent and her groceries and everything. He had a trust fund set up for Rosa Parks, and he paid her rent, groceries, bills from the day that he found out until the day that she passed away. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that story.
I just read it the other day.
It was like the last 10 years of her life. It
was the
a big
last
thing.
10 years? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big thing on TikTok because he owned the
well, he owned Little Caesars.
Little
right?
Caesars. Yeah. So they don't talk about him as the Red Wings guy, but they talk about him as the Little Caesars pizza guy. And did that. Yeah.
That's wow. Anyways,
everything in Detroit is Little Caesars.
Yeah. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we've gone over our 60 minutes. We'll wrap this up. Yeah.
Little Caesars is a great blind snack though, right? Like you call the pizza guy, he brings the pizza. It's fucking delicious.
That's where my daughter works now. My daughter works Little Caesars.
Hey, when I come to hunt with you, we're getting delivery pizza in the blind.
Yeah. That's going to be the unofficial sponsor of Duck Opener 2022.
Deep dish bacon wrap. Let's go.
Yeah. Full send.
All right. Okay. I'm getting hungry now. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll wrap this right up. Craig, we'll give you the last words. We'll go around the table. Philly, to you, buddy.
Craig, once again, it's an absolute pleasure and an honor to have you on. And it's just great to hear how passionate you are about your products and
speak up, Philly, a bit. Speak up a bit.
I've got your fucking budget.
You're on
here.
like fucking.
Well, the last time I did this, I got yelled at.
No,
you're turning into an episode of Golden Girls pretty quick.
Fuck. Craigie, again, great to have you on, dude. It's great to see how passionate you are about your products and how they're made in the U.S. And even though like we're all Canadian here, I'd 100% much rather fucking lost in your bug. I'd much rather support made in the U.S. than anywhere else. And I'm definitely going to need some more decoys this fall. Just saying. So I'll just send you the visa, and you just have at her.
Perfect.
Oh, that's a good deal. Ryan.
Craig, awesome to catch up with you, man.
Did you can't wait to run. Sorry, Ryan, I got to cut you off. Craig, did you notice the
Can you speak up, Ryan?
No. Did you notice the background?
I did. That's impressive. I mean, I know that's a TV over a mantle, so I'm just hoping it's not his living room and his wife's going to be pissed.
She's always pissed. Don't worry. It's okay.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Tell us something we don't know.
That's right. Where was I? Once upon a time. Man, awesome to catch up with you again. And I can't wait to run some of your product this fall. And I love the fact that you guys have a great product and you're always striving to make it better, which I think is the most important thing in your company. And aside from being made in the USA, but I wish you guys all the success. And I think you guys are going to have a big year with the way the world's going. So good, best luck to you, man.
David.
Greg, buddy, I can't say enough good things about you and how much we appreciate you. And it's great. And I can't wait to do more and see where we go from here. I'd also like to say to everybody that reached out after my accident, love you all. Thanks for reaching out. But yeah, good.
Craig, to you, buddy.
No, the reason, kind of goes back to Phil and that's why I love the shows. It's just like that. That's the way it's supposed to be. And I enjoy that part of it. And I hope everybody that listens and whether they're watching it on YouTube or they watch, listen on their podcast, because there's many times that I'll get home or I'll get it to work and, I'll play it on YouTube, but I'll play it on my phone and I'll throw it on my earbuds, and I'll be able to listen to it. And then if there's something funny going on, I look at it, but like, that's a day of my just walking around, enjoying the time and listening. And the conversations that you have, and just even there's times that I pick up on things, you know, as a business guy, and somebody may say something, you know, whether it's Coates or any of those guys that'll say something that I'm like, man, that's a good idea. Mm-hmm. But I appreciate you guys as much as you guys do. You know, you don't do anything that is not you guys, and that's what I want. And it's what I want to be a part of and want to help out on. And I know that I'm gonna get to Canada to see you guys at some point. I know it's already sort of in the works.
Yeah.
And I'm I can tell you when I show up, I'm going to be bringing not like a Santa Claus sleigh, but I'm going to have a lot of stuff. So, you know, I'll make sure that, you know, we go that route. And again, if you're, you know, in the States or you're in Canada and you call, you know, realgeese.com and you heard us on this, let me know that. You know, and there'll be some kind of special deal that I make sure that is involved in that. Because like I said, I've wanted to be a part of this show since day one, since I started, and you guys allowed that. And anything you guys need when it comes down that, all you got to do is make the phone call, send me the text. We'll get going that route. But I will kind of leave it with this. Make sure you get online on either our website, which I believe it is active now, or Canadian Waterfowlers, and tell them you want the Punisher pack. Get that to your doorstep. Throw it on Instagram, where all the other TikTok, Snapchats, all that other crap that I don't belong on. But get it on there, you know, push it, you know, hashtag Punisher pack, just something fun, just to show that you're using it. You know, and maybe we'll get something. We'll send some free merch out, which, you know, we just ordered a whole bunch of it. We'll have some pretty cool stuff coming.
That's awesome. It's funny that you said that. So I just got a message from Pat. It just come in. So mid next week, his order will be in. So just message me as you were talking right there.
Craig, first come, first serve. First come, first serve.
100%. 100%. Craig, buddy, just like Dave said, you have no idea how much we appreciate you. Everything that you've done, you believe in us. And what people will never... there's no way to do it other than just say it in words, but no one will ever understand how quick you are to support us. When Dave and I message you and we say, hey, we got this idea, how about this? And you're like, yeah, I'm in, we're in, just let me know. Shoot me a message in a couple of days and let me know. And we are working on something to get you up here in Canada. I'm going to promise you, it's going to be special. And it's way too early for us to talk about it yet. But I'm going to tell you, it is going to be fucking amazing. So you're definitely going to want to be, everybody's going to want to be a part of that. And Craig, you are a big part of it, and you're a big part of our success right now. And we can never, ever thank you enough, honest to God. Ladies and gentlemen, this was episode 103 of the Union 0430. We are, as advertised, just a bunch of dudes that love one another's company, and we just love talking about bird hunting and surrounding ourselves with good people. Until next time, big love. Chat with you soon.